To anyone tuned in, this is the Men, Church, Stuff podcast. It's the show where brothers-in-law DJ Culp and Brad Coleman talk about what it's like being Christian men in today's society. Having spent our entire lives immersed in church culture, we want to share our experiences with other men who are willing to listen. We'll talk life stuff, church stuff, man stuff, and, well, stuff. Let's get to it. Greetings, listeners here and there and everywhere, all across the land. This is the Men Church Stuff podcast. I am one of your hosts, DJ Culp. As always, here with my beloved brother-in-law, Brad Coleman. Brad, happy Tuesday again. How are you, sir?
I think I'm doing pretty good this time that you can hear me.
Yeah, right. I feel like I just said that.
Deja vu.
Yeah. We had a technical error, and so we had to restart the show, listeners. So, Brad, we have surpassed 3,000 downloads.
Woo!
Woo!
We've made some milestones, right? Because we've hit a year.
We've hit a year.
50th episode.
I know, like
3,000 downloads.
Yeah. And I wanna give Steve Chappie a shout out. Chappie, thank you so much for the birthday wish. Happy birthday to the podcast. We certainly love the fact that you're invested in the show, and we too hope that God is going to bless the show going forward. So we appreciate that. So listeners, as a birthday wish for the show, go to our Facebook page or
Facebook group.
What did I say? Face group?
Face group.
Facebook.
Go to our face group page. I couldn't find that. Is that even a thing?
A face group book page. Facebook group page or our Instagram page, and find the episode 50 announcement, because as a birthday wish, Brad and I would love for you to let the interweb world know why you love the show. What is it about the show that brings you back? I could say, is it Brad's rugged good looks? But nobody really, outside of just a post here or there, it's the sweet, sultry sounds of our voices.
I got a face for radio.
I do. Yeah, I do too. That's a good call. Yeah. So as promised as we mentioned at the end of our last episode, as promised, we're going to start our very first mini series. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about marital communication, which means that these shows are going to be relatively short because there's not really a lot to really cover, but we just figured that it'd be something fun.
This is actually just an intervention for DJ. That I'm right, Shara, do it my way is not biblical communication in marriage.
I don't know what Bible you're reading. That's what mine says.
Yeah. Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so today, the way that we're opening this up is show number 1 is going to be how to fight or argue better. So, Brad, what is the most fun that you've ever had arguing with your wife?
Most fun.
The most fun.
See, I always tell her that I think she's really cute when she's mad. It's just better when it's not at me.
Okay.
Like if she's mad at somebody else, I'm like, you're really cute when you're mad. I love it. Thank you. The most fun. Oh, sometimes we just argue about ridiculous stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I think sometimes, like, we both realize it's ridiculous. And I'm trying to think of an example, but then we'll just keep we'll just kind of keep rolling
Yeah.
and kind of poking back at each other, just in fun. And again, we're both a little bit of. I wouldn't use this terminology as much, especially not before I married your sister, but she'd be like, we're both a little bit turds sometimes. So, we love to pick at each other.
She is a turd. You're right. She is.
Because I can't think of an exact example right now. Let me tell you one that we've kind of laughed about and we've rolled off of from somebody else. And
Okay.
like we heard this on the radio. I'm trying to remember who that is. It's like, oh, this is a great podcast. Brad doesn't even know anything today.
Some person somewhere said this, so it's reliable.
Yeah, absolutely. He was talking about how his wife and he were on this trip. I think it was in Tennessee, and he said, I looked over and I saw a Dunkin' Donuts, and I said, "Hey, look, honey, Dunkin' Donuts." And she said, "What?" He said, "Dunkin' Donuts." She said, "What? Dunkin' Donuts?" She said, "Dunkin' Donuts what? What are you talking about?" Because she thought he was saying, "Don't condone it.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Don't condone it. Don't condone it." Dunkin' Donuts. Well, that reminds me.
Mhm.
Before we were married,
Yeah.
Tabby and I had a little bit of a disagreement. We were in my truck and it was parking. And I looked over at her and I said, "I need you. I need you." And she got out of the truck and went to slam the door and stopped and looked back inside and said, "What did you just say?" I said, very confused, obviously. I said,
Yeah, right.
I need you. She said, "Oh, I thought you said I hate you." So that has been a joke in our marriage, since before our marriage began.
Oh,
So
wow.
sometimes, in those situations where we're trying to express that we really need each other, we'll
Yeah.
just go, "I hate you."
I hate you. That's good.
Yeah.
Dude, I like that. That's hilarious.
What about you?
So the most fun, I think the most fun that I ever have arguing, and actually along the same lines, it, like we're not really arguing. However, when Sharon and I argue, and like not pick at each other, but when we're arguing, um my favorite times to argue are when we both know that it's really okay, but there's certainly an element of truth, and I'm usually the one at fault.
Mhm.
Um, so to give you one example, um, I'm really bad about adding adding like responsibilities that I've committed time to our Google Calendar. And so seriously, a lot of times Cher just gets fed up with it. But my favorite time to argue with her is when I can tell that like she's a little flustered, but I mean she's not mad. And but she'll be very direct and kind of like accusatory,
Mhm.
but I can tell that she's okay because what I'll do is I'll start mocking her and I'll kind of get in her face, just be like, "Oh, really? Is that what's going on?" Blah 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 blah. And so I'm not actually making her mad because I can tell that she's receiving it in like a
Mhm.
picking on very playful mood, and then she'll start like she'll either just cut her eyes at me with like the smallest little like supremely cute smirk on her face,
Mhm.
or she'll start like she'll smack me with a spoon or something like that. Like those moments are like my favorite of how to argue with her.
You just see me giving your eulogy right now. He
Yeah.
one too many times.
One too many
He did it.
times.
She was cutting a cake, not eating ice cream. So it wasn't a spoon that she smacked him with.
That's right. And this, guys, is what happens when you poke the hornet's nest one too many times.
And DJ likes to poke hornet's nests.
I do like to
He
poke
does.
hornet's
He likes to
nest.
throw the rocks at the hornet's nest.
So I suppose like in terms of an actual like argument,
Mhm.
the most fun that I ever had that I can like really remember right now anyways is and like you is actually before we were married. When we lived in Murray, we both had apartments at the same apartment complex, and it was right across the road from a nice little subdivision that we would like to take walks in. And so, we were doing the whole like, and we may have been engaged at the time, but we were certainly like seriously dating, knowing where it was going if we were not engaged. But we were doing the whole, so what do you like? What do I like? What are you things that you don't want? What do I want, don't want, all that kind of stuff. Well, when the topic of dogs came up, um, I always wanted an inside dog. She grew up with inside dogs. So um she had in her head that a 15-pound dog was one step away from a German Shepherd.
One step away from my cat.
Yeah, I know, and
Sorry,
that's
sorry.
what I tried to tell her.
I'm interrupting.
But she had in her head that a dog that was 15 pounds is nearly the size of a large or extra large breed dog.
I mean, compared to an elephant, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, yeah. I suppose I didn't give her enough credit. I didn't know what her metric system was. Like I didn't realize that we were discussing whether it was the size of a cat or the size of a planet. Like I suppose that I had the wrong comparison. So, anyways, I mean, Brad, I would keep bringing it up and I would argue with her and like laugh at her that she's I mean, she's thinking that a 15-pound dog is massive. What's hysterical is that the dog that she grew up with was a Lhasa Apso who was incredibly overweight, and Emily was every bit of 40, if not even 50 pounds, and Lhasa Apsos shouldn't even really get above 20. So here she is thinking that a 15-pound dog, which is smaller, it's like exponentially than the dog she grew up with, who she was obviously fine with. Um, she just couldn't buy it. And so our first dog is Maggie. Maggie is I like to call Maggie a mixture of Jack Russell and Dachshund cat. She's absolutely a cat. She she's really cute and she's really sweet. Uh, she's really grumpy now because she's like she's geriatric, um, but like that was our first dog because Shara just knew that any dog bigger than Maggie was going to be massive. So, anyways, all right. So Brad, let me ask you this, dude. With so since our topic is how to fight or argue better,
Mhm.
I would be willing to say, so Cher and I, actually this month, Cher and I will have been married 14 years. You and Tabitha have been married 19? Is that right? Or is it 18?
See, you always pull this on me. I'm like, it's 05, 19. Yeah, I
19.
gotta do math in my head real quick.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, wait.
I was thinking that it was 19.
Which
Okay.
again, I would feel bad, but my wife has to do the same thing every time people ask her. So I'm like, we're good.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah. All right. So in 14 years for us and 19 years for you guys,
Hmm.
I think one of the most valuable lessons that I learned was how to communicate in terms of, I mean, not just in general, but like how to learn how Shara argues.
Yeah.
So for you guys, what's your style? And what did you grow up with?
Yeah. So I think in some ways that's changed over time, which I think is good.
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn. I have very strong opinions.
Mhm.
And when it's with my wife or my close circle, I'm not afraid to share those strong opinions. And when I think I'm right, I don't budge easy. It's you need to prove to me that I am wrong. Now,
or that your idea is better than mine.
yeah. Now,
Right.
I think you could probably agree that in almost all of those sentiments that I just described, your sister fits that same bill.
Yeah, she just checked all those boxes too, right?
Yeah. So I think that,
So it's like
again, it
one
doesn't happen
crawdad
as
being in the bucket
often,
with another crawdad.
right, early on, it was who can be louder, and more aggressive. Now here's the thing: I'm dynamite, your sister's napalm. So a lot of times I would, even if I wasn't the one originally at fault, a lot of times I would apologize first. So that because I'm over it.
Yeah.
She's not, and I want to get back to equilibrium.
Right.
So I would apologize, and a lot of times end up apologizing. And again, it's very important to me that I'm not false. So I would find a reason for it to be my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not just going to lie because that's against my character. But I would justify or scheme. So I think that's the way that we were, and I'm not to say that we never get there, because that would be false as well.
Yeah.
But I think that we've, again, which is part of this podcast, I think we've learned to argue and fight better, because I think at that early stage we were both trying to win,
Mm-hmm.
but we were both trying to win by defeating each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the very big misconceptions when you're in a debate, an argument, a scuff with your spouse, because if you are trying to win by causing them to lose, well, that's, it's like cutting off your nose in spite of your face, is what they
Yeah.
say in the country. It's that's real dumb. Like, so you have to turn that mindset. How can we win?
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this before, and I think we've talked about it a little bit in a podcast before. If we're in an argument and my wife wins and I lose, we both lost.
Yeah.
If we're in an argument and I win and my wife loses, we've both lost.
Yeah.
Because we are one. Biblically, we are one.
Right.
So the only way that we both win is for us to both win. Now, what if I'm wrong and she's right? Or vice versa?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes that's the case. Or, well, then the win comes when I realize that I'm wrong and I adjust. Or she realizes that she's wrong and then she adjusts.
Right.
So again, she says, hey, you know what? I was wrong. I'm sorry. And then solidify the win with, I forgive you. And and usually, because let's be honest, guys, especially if you're like me, if you tend to be loud and hard and all of that stuff, you're going to go, yeah, I probably got some stuff I need to say sorry about too. I'm sorry about this and I forgive you. And then and here's the crazy thing, we mean it.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. You mean you forgive me.
Right.
And again, I go by forgiveness means not that it's okay, not what you did was okay. Forgiveness means I'm not going to hold it to your charge anymore.
Yeah.
Which means I don't get to put it in the bank to save it for later. I
So,
don't get to bring it up at a later
yeah.
skirmish
Right.
as evidence and proof because it's been forgiven. And if I do, then you have the right to say, I thought you forgave me for
Yeah,
that.
right. I thought you forgave me for that. So am I hearing you say, Brad, that as a like we'll call it maybe a stage,
Mhm.
um, or like certainly a part of the mechanism that you guys argue. Am I hearing you say that you and Tabitha openly, in some cases anyways, obviously not, it's not universal necessarily, but openly say, um, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Do you forgive me? Yes, I forgive you. Like, is that like part of the narrative, or are they like are those kind of sentiments that are just sort of understood?
No, we're openly like I'm big on saying, if I'm sorry, I'm gonna say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I did this. I'm sorry that I spoke in that way. Um, just yesterday, she got a little upset at me because of a text that that I sent. Um, and again, in hindsight, I go, okay, probably wasn't the wisest thing to send over text because there's all this and how she could have taken it wrong. And
Yeah.
so when she was upset about it, I said, okay, one, I want to remind you that your husband is very literal.
Uh-huh.
And so my my text was again, it wasn't meant as an attack. It was meant to be, it was just a very literal statement. Just making a statement. Was was not intending to be missiles. I
Yeah,
didn't say
yeah.
that, but again, the the idea that we're talking about, and then I'm at the same time, so I'm owning like I wasn't attacking you, basically. Um, but I'm also owning I can see where you would take that.
Yeah.
I could see where you would have assessed that
Yeah.
as an attack. So let's kind of, and again, our communication, because we know each other and we speak our own language, I'm kind of meshing it out a little more
Yeah, sure.
here than has happened. But okay, because right. So now that we are both on the same ground, that I wasn't intending to attack you.
Right.
So
Right.
what you received that upset you because you felt like it was an attack wasn't an attack.
Right.
So I'm sorry that I did it the way that I did so that it came off as an attack.
And I would, so knowing you, I would say that probably comes more natural, and it may come more natural to guys in general, but certainly comes more natural to somebody like you because the literal side of you
Mhm.
can be that literal in an explanation and in an apology. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like
Right.
if
Because
you were that literal, you weren't saying anything that was emotionally charged.
yeah,
And so coming back to it, it may you like speaking to someone who is emotionally charged, it's easy for us as literal analytical thinkers to be able to just say
yeah.
that's not what I meant. Like this is the way it came out.
Right. There was there wasn't an emotional load with it.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't firing off. Which again, I think brings us to one of the things that we had to realize
Hmm.
years ago, which was we tend to, as people, interpret each other's actions and words and all that as if they're coming from our system. And so I kind of we use kind of like a Mac Apple computer and a Windows computer.
Hmm.
Right. They both do a lot of the same things, right? Because we give them for the same things.
Right.
You can write a paper on each one. But if you try to send a document, now I know that they've done a lot these days so that the transition is a lot more seamless.
Yeah. Right.
But back in the day, you try to open a Word document in an Apple
Wouldn't
computer.
work.
I
Yeah.
mean, like you get a big jumble mess because the system is not interpreting the thing. All the words are still there.
Yeah.
Because the words are interpreted as words, but the format is just nuts.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know
is.
if you ever, remember doing that back in the day.
Oh, I do. Absolutely, I do.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
this is so again, all the information is there. Nothing has been changed as far as the information, but the way that it is received and understood and formatted is different.
Yeah.
So my system is based on 40 years of Brad learning and growing and inputs and outputs and guess and check and learning and cause and effect. And Tabby's is her system. And so one of the biggest things, one of the biggest truths I think that we were able to grasp was I have to learn you so that I can interpret your actions based on your system and your formatting,
Mm-hmm.
not mine.
Yeah.
Because when you say this, it's not the same as when I say this.
Right.
And so I've got to know you and you've got to know me. And here's one of the bigger things, and I think that we fail as people a lot more than what we would want to admit, is really I've got to learn me because I've been on autopilot with so many of these things. And sometimes I never question why. Why did I say it that way?
Right.
Why was I so angry when you said that? But I wasn't angry when you said, like, sometimes I might get angry or hurt or whatever or defensive at something you said because you were just kidding. And we kid around all the time.
Right.
Versus something I'm going to get more mad and more hurt about that than something that you really were mad and you were trying to throw something at me.
Right.
Why? Because sometimes you hit something that's an insecurity, that's an
Right.
old hurt inside of me. And I need to be aware of that. And she needs to be aware of that. We need to be aware of those in each other. Like, I'm going to tell you, hands down, guys, learn to fight better with your wives and do not hit her where it hurts.
Mm-mm.
Resist that urge. I mean, seriously, just go to the kitchen, get a knife, and stab yourself with it. You're better off.
Don't actually do that, by the way. Yeah.
But yeah, stab yourself in the hand. You're better off doing
Don't do that. Don't go get a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're better off though. Just again, the old adage of shoot yourself in the foot. You're better off shooting yourself in the foot. It's going to heal faster.
Yeah. Right.
Than that, because you're not going to see that. So don't. And ladies, if you're listening, the same thing. Don't hit below the belt.
Yeah. Please don't hit below the belt.
And you're going to be tempted too, because one, your humanity saying, "I'm gonna hit you where it hurts because I'm mad," and Satan's also out there going, "Oh yeah, that's exactly what you should do." It'd be like, "Hey, remember that thing?"
Right.
God's not the one going, "Hey, remember that sin? Remember how they messed up? Remember?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, God's not the one doing that.
No.
So, Brad, real quick, when you were growing up with Doug and Vanessa, and I'm not asking you to dive into how they fought, but just to kind of give us a little bit of a glimmer of what you had to cope with when you got married. Did, like, the whole boisterous, whoever speaks loudest, is that what you grew up with?
I mean, my parents would definitely sometimes get loud and stand on their point. My dad and mom could both hold their own in an argument. So I think I did see that, like the loud opinions stuff.
Yeah.
I get this from my mom. My mom is very much, don't tell me what to do. I'm my own person. You are not going to tell me what I can and can't do.
Right.
Yeah, tell me I can't do that, and I'll show you.
Right. Right.
And sometimes, I'll show you in spite. Just I didn't even want to do it. Again, which even, as I say that, there's your sister,
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, that's right.
I think my mom and dad, again, they had a great love and a great grace for one another in some ways. I, I think that's the way they communicated a lot of times, but they communicated.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I think that's, again, one of the things I've said to Tabby before, we used to be a lot louder and a lot more aggressive in our speech when we'd have these arguments, these fights, but we were communicating. That was the positive. I feel like it was better than us, not.
Yeah.
Because we were expressing, this is how you made me feel. We were just expressing it very violently. I mean, not physically violently, but very
No, right. Yeah. Vocally. Yeah.
vocally, violently, aggressively in that. So I think my parents, did that. Now, my mom was one that she would just do. My mom is, it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission, because I'm not going to ask permission anyway.
Well, the reason I was asking was for me and Shara. First of all, just as like a point of origin, I mean, my parents are incredibly vocal about when it comes to like arguing. And I grew up very much in the with dad being like the kind of the culture, if you will, was whoever speaks the loudest wins.
Yeah.
And what dad would do, dad's personality is when he's passionate about something, he would jump into dad mode, even if he was talking to mom. And mom would not lash back, but it was like she would either kind of jab either until she talked some sense into dad, which didn't happen very often, or she would just kind of not clam up, but she would just stop talking, knowing, well, this isn't going to do any good because he's got his mind made up. He's not going to listen to anything I have to say. But again, as a point of origin, Shara and I remember having the conversation of, how did you see your parents fight? Did you ever hear your parents argue? And she said, not really, because if they did, they would leave the room. They would like go to their bedroom in the back and close the door, and they would do whatever, so like they could have been shouting, they could have just been sitting down. She actually didn't know how they quote unquote fought, how they argued. And I mean, she did tell me that like there were times, not many, but there were times where they would kind of argue in front of Shara and Adam, but for the most part,
yeah,
she did not actually see the manifestation of their arguments. So we grew up in pretty polar opposite.
And I would say I probably had half and half like that, because I mean, I definitely would see those things, but I think when they were bigger, like there were things that mom and dad didn't argue about and talk about so much in front of us.
Well, okay, and I think that's fair.
Yeah,
but across the board, dad,
like frustrations though, minor frustrations and those kind of things,
right?
Those are going to come out in the arguments. But I mean, I think of the bigger, deeper things, bills and worries and all that.
Well, okay,
They
yeah.
tend to talk
Now,
about
yes,
behind closed doors.
and yeah, absolutely. So I wasn't necessarily talking about like,
Right.
did you see them argue about major things? But I just didn't know what kind of
Mm.
how you saw
Yeah.
your parents interact in that sense. So
Again,
when Cher and I got married, it was very much a, like you were saying with you and Tabitha, whoever spoke the loudest wins. But here's the thing.
mhm.
Cher's personality is not whoever speaks the loudest.
Yeah.
So I immediately turned on the defenses, thinking that, well, I just got to start speaking louder, and she wouldn't talk at all.
Mm.
So Shara's, and this goes back to, to your point, Brad, that I had to learn how Shara processed. I had to learn how Shara argued and how she wanted to kind of have the discussion. And it took me a while, dude, to be able to figure out, okay, she doesn't like it when she doesn't like it when I raise my voice.
Yeah.
Like when I began to realize that Shara clammed up. I am going to say clammed up. When she like shut down, I didn't know how to deal with it. And if my memory serves me correctly, it was actually Shara that approached me one night, and it may have been in our first year of marriage, probably was. And like we just had to talk about how we need to communicate when we disagree.
Mhm.
And she said, because I don't like it, this is her talking. I don't like it when you get loud, but I also understand that you need to talk things out. And here she is bringing the olive branch, and making sure that that kind of peace is being kept. And like looking back on it, dude, it was, I was really grateful for it, because I did not really know how I was going to be able to have discussions where emotions would kind of come in. Because again, I wanted to deal with it, and I wanted to deal with it fast and hard. She wanted to deal with it slow and quiet.
Yeah.
And because she's the one who approached me, I began to kind of see how, like, I began to look for her reactions as we would have arguments and as we would have, I'm not going to say fights, because to be quite honest, Sharon and I don't fight in the traditional sense of the word. And the reason, to be quite honest, I mean, shoot, man, you're married to my sister. The reason that we don't fight is actually because of Shara. Because I grew up with, like, dude, you start with boxing gloves off, but you kind of get excited when you start with boxing gloves on, but you kind of get excited when you have to throw them off. And so over the years, Shara and I, we know that we can have disagreements
Mhm.
in an incredibly docile manner, like real calm, real chill, even if we have like emotional flare-ups, we kind of keep them in. Now, I'm only saying that is our experience. What I certainly don't want you or excuse me, you or our listeners to think is that that's healthy, because like there's a Brad, are you a fan of the show Frasier?
Probably not. I've seen
Okay.
a few episodes now.
Yeah. So Kelsey Grammer's character's brother, Niles, um, him and the caretaker of their dad, Daphne. Niles has a crush on Daphne, and Daphne doesn't know it, at least not yet. That's where I'm at in the show. But Niles recently has gotten divorced, and him and Niles and Daphne start going at it, like shooting, like they're arguing and they're shooting sarcastic cut downs at each other. She walks away heated and like apologizes like crazy. Dr. Fraser, I'm so sorry. Or sorry, Dr. Crane, I'm so sorry. I did not mean any of those words. And Niles kind of says the same thing. But when Fraser, Kelsey Grammer's character, when he walks in, he sees Niles kind of like shaking, and he thinks that Niles has been cut to the bone. When in actuality, Niles's comment was, "Oh, Fraser, that was glorious. It was wonderful." And and the joke is that that they are like that Fraser never or Niles never experienced that. And so because Niles never experienced that, he now has his first real like actual vocal fight, and he loved it. So I'm not saying that the way that Sharon and I converse is the way that everybody needs to do it, because as you mentioned, everybody needs to be able to figure out what is it that what is it that makes you tick? What is it that how is it that each person communicates? So so I know that you do a lot of premarital counseling.
Mhm.
What Brad, like what is kind of like your most common piece of advice to unmarried but up and coming couples on how to think about or how to go about fighting and arguing?
So there's a few things I think you have to set and start to understand about you, about your spouse, this the human nature. One is, James says the anger of man does not bring about God's righteousness, right?
Yeah.
Take that to heart. So when anger is driving, it's not a good driver,
Mm-hmm.
or it's not a good destination that anger is trying to get.
Right.
And I think anger wraps right up there with hurt. There are things where our body reacts to as danger. This is danger. It may be because of old hurt. It may be because something, triggered me to be angry, but it would trigger what I would understand to as fight or flight. When you're in fight or flight, you are at a level of your brain thinking where you're not cognitively thinking deeply, right? Your reasoning skills, all of these things kind of take a back seat because you're in survival mode, which is really good if you're running up on a bear and it's aggressive and you need to deal with the bear. It's really good, in these situations. It's not really good when you're trying to mesh out your finances.
Right.
So one of the things you have to do is you have to realize and be honest about your triggers and when you are triggered with this anger, with this hurt, or whatever. And you've got to be able to come back down from that.
Yeah.
The conversation that you and Shara had was very good, where Shara came to you, hey, we've got to work this out.
Yeah.
If Shara would have tried to have done that in the middle of where you are just being volcanic.
Yeah. It wouldn't have happened.
Would not have worked.
Now, that's a good point, dude.
You may have been able to carry it with you,
right,
and chew on it later. But in the moment, you weren't going to come to that. So I think you've got to talk about those realities and be honest with yourself and your spouse. And the more honest I think that you can be about your own shortcomings and your own tendencies. And again, because sometimes that's just all right. Hey, this is the way I'm wired. But why? Why am I wired that? Because why do I go defensive of that?
Yeah.
Because I'm insecure about that situation, or I feel like I'm not providing. And so when we talk about money, it makes me anxious, and that anxiety turns over into defense, and that defense turns into anger, those kind of things. I want to tell you that I think there's a good percentage of fights and disagreements and those things that come from some some misses. I've written down 4. You can maybe classify them as 3 misses.
Okay.
Yeah, the way we miss. One is misinformation. If we're running off bad information,
Yeah.
then we're not going to come to proper conclusions. Now, that misinformation can come from my own ideas. That information can come from your ideas. That misinformation may be something that my mom, your mom, my brother, my best friend said about, hey, when you do this, you're being mean.
Right.
Okay. It's not a tag team event.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. If you're having a debate, you're having a fight with your spouse, let it be just the 2 of you.
Yes, dude.
It's not time for a tag team event. Now, again, we are assuming, I think I do want to just put a little asterisk, little whatever here. We're assuming that we're talking about 2 people who are working for a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are in a relationship where it's an abusive situation,
Yeah.
that's different.
That is different.
That changes the rules. Because if you're in a situation, that's not a fight.
No.
That's an abusive situation is different. And if you're struggling to know what that is, maybe we'll do another podcast at some point and talk about that.
Yeah.
But feel free to reach out to us or reach out to someone who can help. So it's okay to get help from somewhere else from the standpoint of I'm going to clear up my information, or am I in an abusive situation if you think that's the case. So let me put that there, because I certainly don't want you to be on an island, because that's what an abuser wants you to do, is be separate. But we're talking about, hey, we're talking about our spending, and you spend too much on the credit cards, or man, you stop every day and you get a monster, and that's really ruining our finances. We're having a scuffle about this. Don't pull in your neighbors. Don't pull in my mom said. Just get the information right. But misinformation can come from all kinds of sources. The other thing is miscommunication. Right? So the information may be correct, but the way that we communicated it caused it to come about. Sometimes that miscommunication causes misinformation.
Yeah.
Right. DJ, I said something to you, and maybe it came off as offensive to you.
Right.
But it's not offensive to me. Let me give you an example. I know this isn't spousal, but it's the best way I can think of the example of time.
Okay.
It's me and your mom. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Your mom was here, and I said something. I said, well, I'm a hillbilly. Because to me, the term hillbilly is a thing that I'm proud of. I'm proud to be a hillbilly.
Uh-huh.
When you call me a hillbilly, that's a compliment in my book.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I said something. I said, well, I'm a hillbilly. And your mom said, oh, no, Brad, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And I said, Missy, I said, I'm starting to get a little offended. I said, you need to and again, I needed to set.
Yeah.
Because I understood again, she heard me put myself down, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
To me, I'm raising myself up. I'm proud to be a hillbilly.
People down here, will tell me every now and then, you're such a Yankee. Like, yeah. Like, you bring that on, man. Yeah, because as you mentioned, like, to me, that word is absolutely a compliment. I love being a Yankee. So yeah.
Right. But and the same, if you call me a Yankee, it's an insult.
It's an insult to you. Yeah. If you call me a hillbilly, I'm ready to fight.
So again, and it gets back to those systems, right? So that's sometimes it's not, the information is correct, but the communication of the information is wrong. I'm trying to compliment you, but in turn I accidentally insult you.
Right.
Or I'm hitting something. And so we need to make sure that we're communicating clearly and that we understand. Well, one of the ways that you can do that in your marriage is, or really in any conversation, but we're talking about spouses, is to restate what you just heard in your own words. Right? All right. What you said was this is what I heard.
Or start it by saying, do I hear you saying this?
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Some form of like, look, I'm going to communicate with you
Yeah.
what my system interpreted.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you said you need to do this, what I heard was you're a lazy bum. Well, no, I wasn't
Yeah.
saying that at all. And
Yeah.
again, where am I speaking from? I'm speaking from my insecurities. I'm
Right.
speaking from my past hurts. I'm speaking from these things. So, no, I'm just saying I really want you to take the trash out because there's something smelly in it and it stinks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I was trying to say. It was please, and you take the garbage out.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
just an
Yes. Yeah.
arrangement.
No.
So that's what I was trying to say.
So Brad, to that point, when Sharon and I first got married, and I still love picking on her now about this, but she doesn't do it because understand that in her vernacular,
Mm.
to her, the words never and always just simply meant when this happens, it annoys me.
Mhm.
That's what those words meant to her. But to me, the way that she was using those terms actually was cutting.
Yeah.
And there was one time where she said, "You never do this." And I said, or she said, "Why is it that you always?" And I said, "Do you really think that?" Because when you say always, I hear you saying that anytime that I do this, it doesn't matter. And since that day, again, this was early on in our marriage, but I just got sick of it. And the reason I got sick of it is because it was hurting. And I actually didn't know and I can't remember what it was, but I actually did not know if whatever it was that she was addressing, when I did that, whatever it was, I didn't know if it meant anything. And from that point on, I noticed a change. And so Brad, to that point, the idea of miscommunication, one of the things that I would encourage anybody who's married to figure out. I mean, technically, I think it's a good thing to do as part of humanity, but certainly with a spouse, is even if you don't believe at all that the words that you're using mean any of that, if the person that you're speaking to, if that does change the way you say it, not just in the context of that particular conversation, but begin to figure out, okay, I need to avoid these kinds of statements because my spouse or because this person takes it this way.
So here's the equal and opposite tool, right? Equal and opposite tool. It's just as handy, just as important. When you say something and you see your spouse react in a way that doesn't mesh with what you were saying.
Yep.
Hey, I was trying to give you a compliment, but you got offended. Or back to Tabby, I said, hey, I need you. And she got out and she's going to slam the door. Right? What I've learned that you can do is you can turn that question over and you can go, what did you just hear me say?
What did you just hear? I remember you saying that that's something that you routinely ask Tabitha in one of our previous shows. And I think dude, it's so brilliant and it's so easy. It's very simple, but to me, like in terms of human behavior, when someone says, what did you hear me say? They are sacrificing all control of the conversation at that point.
Well, you've empowered the other person and what have you said? You said, I want to hear you.
I want to hear you.
I want to see, I am concerned about you and your feelings and your understanding, not just, hey, get with my program.
That's right.
And I think sometimes, again, in marriage, on both sides, it's easy for us to go, look, we just need to be Windows people, okay? So you need to throw out your Apple programming and just do it my way.
Dude, you can't do that. Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, okay. And here's the problem. You can start acting that and doing that, but guess what? If you're not true to the way that you are programmed and who you are,
right,
then now you've got extra work. Because then what are you doing? The person who, okay, we're going to do Windows because I'm a Windows person, but Tabby is Apple. Okay, well now I said we're going to do Windows stuff. So what does she have to do? Everything that's hers, she's got to reformat it.
Yeah.
It's easy for me. I'm just breathing, but now everything for her is laborious. And what's that going to do? It's going to wear her down. She's going to be more apt to be hurt and angry. Really probably have some reason to be.
Right.
Which is going to cause her to lash out, which is going to cause a vicious cycle.
Yep.
So let's be honest about ourselves. So misinformation, miscommunication.
Yeah. What's the other miss?
Right, which leads to misunderstanding. And I put misinterpretation in there too. I guess those two are kind of the same.
Misunderstanding, misinterpretation. Yeah, right.
Because when you misunderstand because of the bad information or because of the way that it was faultily communicated or received.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Sure.
Then the understanding. So sometimes we can walk away and we're both mad, but we really both wanted the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can make sure that our information is good, we can make sure that we're communicating that well with each other and we're both on the same page. And as I like to say, of the same book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you turn to page 385, but you're reading physics and I'm in history, there's different stuff on there. When we're both on the same page. No, it's the same page of the same book. That's we're on the same.
Right. I like
the same format. Mine's in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. No, el hablo español. That's about the Spanish that I know. So if we make sure our information is well, we make sure it's communicating well, then that kind of gets misunderstandings out of the way. Yep. Now we can look at what the real issue is. Now we can deal with what the real problem is. Because guess what? Life is full of problems. Sometimes they're our fault.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's my fault, your fault. Usually it's a good mix of both, right? In a relationship, it's usually never 100-0.
Yeah. Well, Brad, there's an assumptive caveat that you are incorporating in what you're saying that needs to be vocalized. It needs to be brought to light, which is this: honesty.
Yeah.
So like you can be clear as day and lie. You can be clear as day and hide stuff. So like for both people to be on the same page of the same book, there needs to be honesty between both parties. And so I just like, I know within the parameters that you were describing, I know that it was just assumed, but I feel the need to actually say, but we need to bring this to light as well.
Yeah, no, and because we're going to trade that miss for clear and honest.
Yeah.
Because then you have clear and honest information.
Right.
We have clear and honest communication, which gives us a clear and honest understanding.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah? So, and that's what we want. And now we may still have the same problem.
Yeah.
But now we're facing it together.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes.
Satan wants us to be divided.
Yes, he does.
Not united. And when a spouse, and when two plural spice, when two spice get together.
Spouses. Spouses.
When you are husband and wife and you are working as a unit, the way that God intended, as one, there's so much more power. There's this thing called, and it's a really fun word to say, it's called synergy. You're synergizing.
You're synergized.
That's about as excited as I get, guys. Sorry, you missed the video. Synergize. So horses, all right. So, and I don't remember the exact weights, but if one workhorse can pull 8,000 pounds, then if you put two workhorses together, you would think that they could pull 16,000 pounds, right? Because if one can pull 8, two can pull 16. That's just math. But the reality is they can pull more like 22,000. Like 1, 8,000, 2 trained to work together, 22,000. Because two are better than one. They work
Yeah.
together. There's more work for their labor.
Right.
So if a husband and wife are meshing together on these things, then that's a force to be reckoned with. And when that force is good, well, then evil better watch out.
Yeah.
So we need to also realize that Satan wants to keep us misinformed, miscommunicating, misunderstanding, so that we can't even look at the issue. So right now we're not even talking about how do we solve the issue. We're just talking
Right.
about how do we fight better?
Yeah.
How do we
And-
get to the issue and actually deal with it?
So first of all, I've got to go here in a few minutes. So we're gonna have to wrap up, but it is super fun for me versus Shara. It's a lot of
Mhm.
fun, as long as it is fun. But in the confines, in the from the perspective that we're really talking about today, there never needs to be a me versus Shara. There
No.
never needs to be a me versus, like, from within the marriage that I have with Shara. There never needs to be me versus my parents or her versus her parents. There needs to be,
Right.
and I know that I may have just opened Pandora's box with that statement, but like, I'm happy to say, just redraw the lines. Like,
So
you and your wife are one.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife.
And so really, if the way that listeners, if you guys or people that you know argue in a male versus female, man versus wife, husband versus wife, I encourage you to get out of that mindset, because this is not, it is fun. I'm telling you, I believe, I love it. The way that me and Shara are uber competitive. So I totally get it. But when it comes to actual arguments, to actual decision making, to actual conversation of things that really do matter, it cannot be competitive.
Yeah. So let me leave you. Let me leave you with that, because my brain loves analogies and it loves to rationalize things through other things. So this is what I think about. Two people are on a boat. They're in the same boat, small boat, husband and wife. They're in a boat, and each one has a drill. Now, if my drills are words, right? So I can use them. If I'm looking like it's me versus you, and I run over and I drill holes in your side of the boat, you know what it made it? What it'll do is it'll tip my side up for a bit.
Yep.
So, and if that's my win, oh wow, I'm feeling top of the world. But what's really happening?
The whole boat's going to sink. Yeah, absolutely.
But we're both going down.
Yeah.
But I felt good about it for a while.
Right.
You know, opposite is true. Now, sometimes what we do is go, okay, well, I'll just take it. So we take our drill, and instead of drilling it on her side, we drill it on our side. So instead of communicating well, getting through this because it's uncomfortable, whatever, I'm just going to take the hit. I'll say it's my fault. I'm saying sorry. That's what I've been guilty of a lot. Like so I'm going to drill the hole in my side of the boat. Well, then what happens? Well, she's lifted up a little bit. But then what happens?
Boat still
sinks.
Yeah.
So neither one of those things work.
Right.
If we're drilling holes in our boat, whether I'm drilling it on my side or your side, whether I'm attacking you or I'm downsizing me, neither one of those is going to bring us to shore, I guess, in this illustration.
Yeah, right. Yeah, following the metaphor.
Yeah. So I think you have to think about that. Don't be drilling holes in the boat.
Yeah. So like, if there was sort of like a thesis of today's show, it is, if you find yourself in a boat with your wife, just don't have drills.
Yeah, throw the drills overboard.
Throw their drills overboard, right?
Then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So
This is not a drill.
This is not a drill. I gotta head out. But listeners, as normal, we love that you love our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, listeners, for investing your time in our show. Share the show. Let people know about it. Like important topic for today, for next week. Show number 2 as part of this mini series is how to heal through hurt. So that one's gonna be big. Maybe not big, not necessarily long, but just big. But follow us on our Facebook group, and on Instagram. Remember, guys,
group of thing, we should make it if it's not.
Remember, guys,
our next t-shirt.
To go back.
Check us out on Facebook.
Check us out on Facebook. Remember, go back and let us know. Let the Facebook and the Instagram family let everybody know why you love the show. But again, share the show, rate and review us. Haven't gotten a ton of reviews. Haven't gotten a ton of ratings. Let's up those numbers so that more people find out about the show. But other than that, Brad, I love you, buddy.
Love you too. Catch you guys later.
We will catch you next time.